While it has been a fairly disastrous start to the season for the Philadelphia 76ers, there are a few players making the most of their opportunities, with KJ Martin right at the front of the list. While we once talked about him as a surefire trade chip, a guy who signed that quote-unquote balloon contract with the intention of these being the Sixers' biggest salary piece at the deadline, I'm here to say we may need to put a little bookmark in that conversation and talk about what this guy's role on the team fully is. KJ Martin has been the guy that has really stood out during these shorthanded opportunities. His athleticism, the effort level that he brings, and the skill set that is really necessary on this Sixers team. When you think about what he potentially would be traded for, when you're squinting and think about who is that player that could be a missing piece, kind of looks a lot like KJ Martin. Now, to dive into exactly what sparked me into recording this video, we are fresh off the victory over the Orlando Magic, 102-94. And when looking at the box score for this game, Paul George leading the team in scoring with 21 points there. And right below him, coming off the bench in 32 minutes of action, KJ Martin with 20 points. And to dive into his full stat line here, I know you can kind of see it as it is, but to give a clearer breakdown, 20 points, had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 9 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, and overall, the effort level was there from start to finish. That's something that has got the attention of his teammates, certainly has got my attention, and there are a couple specific plays I do want to dive into this video to showcase what he can bring to this Sixers team. Now, first, I did want to highlight what Paul George said after the game, saying his energy is everything. And I do think that is the story with KJ Martin, that he is not going to be a guy that blows you away with statistics. On the season overall, just 5.9 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 58.7% from the field. He is shooting 33.3% from 3. I will say there was a lot of buzz heading into the season about his rework jumper. A little bit disappointed that I did try and dive in and splice a side-by-side of last year's form versus this year's form, and it looks far too similar than I expected. There aren't these noteworthy strides or adjustments that were made in the form, but what I will say is he sure looks more confident shooting it. Attempted 2 3-pointers today, but that is not going to be the calling card for KJ Martin. Now, what we're seeing with his skill set, he is a high-level athlete. He's ready to dunk on anyone's head. He's able to guard up from a skill set standpoint that you can put him on big men, and he's going to hang because of his athleticism. And I have a couple plays that I do want to showcase that really prove that here. I want to start on the defensive side of the floor. And this video, not from after the Magic game. This is from a couple games ago against the Memphis Grizzlies here, but I do think it showcases just the amount of recovery pace that he has. And as you can see, he's putting a screen with Ja Morant. Ja trying to get the switch. Kelly stays with a little bit of miscommunication, but the recovery from KJ Martin to come back and block that here. We're going to give that another look, and first off, that leads to a nice bucket down the other end for Jared McCain. But do want to highlight that one more time, though. Let's give it another look. Take a peek at just the distance here. I wish I could hit the pause button on this, but you can see, look at that. That is not a normal play. That is a play that very few players are capable of making, even at the NBA level. And what's even crazier is at 6'6", this is not a dude with a crazy wingspan or this, off the charts reach or anything like that. He's a bit undersized for the position that he truly plays. But what's really refreshing me about KJ, he's just going to do the simplistic things. He's going to stay within his box of what is expected. He's not going to make any dumb decisions on the floor. He's just going to be KJ Martin, and that's a really comfortable feeling to have in a guy that is projecting into this role player lane. Now, there's 2 other plays that I think really highlight this. This one specifically, just take a look at his off-ball movement, and I think it gives a lot. It says a lot about kind of his intelligence and awareness as a basketball player. I do want to elaborate this a little bit, but a little dump off to KJ. He kicks it to Kelly Oubre up top, and look at this little backdoor. Nice dish by Kelly, by the way. Good looking out for the kind of his teammate on the dunker spot there. But you can see that there's more to him than just an athlete, that he penetrates, he kicks to Kelly here, and then some good awareness to really have a chance to create that dunk for himself. I'm going to play it one more time. The Maxey dish, drive, create, kick out to a shooter. Kelly drives, draws a defender, and then it is the dunk for KJ. That's just really smooth basketball, but there's a little bit more to that than as simple as it looks there. Now, when speaking about his athleticism as a whole, did want to highlight this video here, that just look at the straight line burst that he possesses, the strength to fight through defenders, and you can see coming down with the rebound, it is Paul George. They're off to the races. KJ Martin taking on Jalen Suggs, and I believe that's Wendell Carter or Anthony Black there, just going right at them and finishing around, and he wanted the foul after the fact too. Take a peek at what he says to the official, but just look at the straight line pace. There is very few players across the entire NBA capable of stopping it. When you get a head of steam like that, that is a difficult finish. You're not seeing that from everyone, and those are becoming more and more frequent within his game there. So this was a game that we will remember for for KJ Martin, the Magic specifically here, to highlight exactly why this is the first 20-point performance as a member of the Sixers, but I kind of have a feeling that it might not be the last, that he's never going to be a guy known for his scoring as a whole, but what he's really stood out to me in recent games, he's such a high IQ basketball player in a way that I did not really appreciate until this stretch. And there's little things, like when he sees the defender sagging off him, what does he do? He calls for Tyrese Maxey or Jared McCain to come dribble into him, so he sets the screen on their man, and that's a wide open jumper. We've seen guys like Ben Simmons and Draymond Green do that. Obviously, slightly different conversation with both those guys, but KJ Martin is a guy at this stage of the game that is not respected as a shooter, and you can use that to your advantage if you're creative enough with it. I like this tweet by Sixers Adam here, Adam Aronson of Philly Voice. He tweets one of these videos, which is kind of a similar play to what I'm talking about. KJ does this often throughout the game. This is something that has really stood out to me. But when to kind of contextualize this, when you see you don't have a defender guarding you heavily, so say your defender's hanging in the paint, you're out by the three-point line, what there is just space around you. So when there is a guy like Tyrese Maxey or Jared McCain, who obviously these Sixers are want to encourage to shoot and create shots for them within the flow of the offense, that you call for them to bring their man over, basically. You take their man away, and then there's no man to switch. That's kind of the pick and roll defense is, you're either switching or fighting over. If your man isn't in the picture, it's simply a 2v1 in that situation, and it worked often. And I like this tweet from Adam here that just said, I just don't think players who are as athletic and heady as KJ Martin turn out to be bad. This is someone worth investing in. And I wholeheartedly agree with that assessment there, that the intelligence is something that has been crystal clear to me this year. The effort and energy is absolutely there. The athleticism is off the charts, elite even by NBA standards, and this might be a guy worth keeping around. Let's not forget he is still 23 years old. This is not one of the Eric Gordons or Kyle Lowrys or Reggie Jacksons or guys recycled out of the washed bin who probably aren't going to be in the NBA for much longer. KJ Martin's best basketball is still to be played in his career. And it's been kind of a strange trajectory for him. To be perfectly honest, I have some sympathy to KJ's. I don't think it was the exact right path for him. Now, granted, he's in the NBA and has made it, and things seem to be working out fine. Got a 2-year, $16 million contract for the exact reasons that we talked about with this balloon kind of tradable deal here. So he's not a bad spot. Don't mean to say that. But when kind of thinking about like the best pathway through, I think this happens often. Obviously, KJ Martin's dad is Kenyon Martin, a guy who had a pretty impressive NBA career, stuck around for quite some time. When you look at KJ's pathway, he never went to college. He did one prep year at IMG Academy, was a second-round pick, kind of bounced around for a little bit, landed with the Houston Rockets, played a little bit there, and then let's not forget how he ultimately landed on the Sixers here. Let's highlight this once again as the trade heard around the world here, and that is the PG one, but the actual trade itself, here we go. 76ers bring back Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin, the 2028 unprotected first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a pick swap, and the first-round pick from a third team in exchange for James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip with an F Petrusev there. Kind of crazy when reflecting on this for all these moving pieces. Obviously, Harden's still doing his thing out there with the Clippers, but when looking at it from the Sixers' perspective, the draft picks were always the cream of the crop, the prize of this deal. But KJ Martin, definitely second most important there. That obviously Marcus Morris was repackaged in another deal. Nico Batum was awesome for the half a season that he was here. Do wish he stuck around and wishing him nothing but the best moving forward. But Covington could barely get on the floor. KJ was looking like a bit of a lost cause until really this season. So kind of crazy how that did fully play out here. But as far as where this goes from here, I think Nick Nurse should be making a conscious effort to give him opportunities. That when thinking about what we know for this Sixers team, I think KJ Martin is your automatic adjustment to the younger teams that want to run and gun. That I think having that option of a stylistic way to play, that you can get away with having him as the 4-man next to a player like Drummond or Yabusele, and then you can kind of play some 5-out basketball if you want to play with Yabu as the guy there. I also think there's some matchups where you can get away with him as the true 5-man. Once again, the shot blocking presence is absolutely real with him. Let's take a look at this once again. And he has even other opportunities, kind of like his instincts on sliding back door and making plays is really impressive. I'm not saying it's for everything. There certainly will be traditional big men in which you will get played off the floor if that is the case, but that is another weapon that Nick Nurse now has in his arsenal, as you can go this direction if the game script allows it or dictates that to be the case. So I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing from KJ Martin. We have to get past the December 15th and then January 15th deadlines before we can remotely have these trade conversations, but I'm heavily leaning towards the side of things of maybe we just got to stick with this dude and keep him around for the season. And I think that's especially the case when factoring in we've yet to see this team fully constructed. We've seen a grand total of 6 minutes played with Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey fully on the floor together. Everything must connect. It's a huge puzzle that you have to put together. And when you don't know what your foundational pieces look like playing together, it's tough to picture what are those perfect connectors right there. I think KJ Martin is an option that the Sixers should keep open, at least in the short term. Now, could an absolute dream deal fall in their lap and you're forced to make adjustments? Maybe that is the case there. I'm not saying that KJ Martin is untradeable by any means, but I'm certainly not motivated to get rid of this guy by any means at this current moment. So we will see how this next stretch goes, how much his level of opportunity continues. Will be interesting to see how much trust he's gained within Nick Nurse. I haven't got the vibe that KJ Martin has been a Nick Nurse guy throughout their tenure here, but ultimately, really impressive. Shout out to KJ for making the most of his opportunity and really helping this team win games. That I think he did swing this game against the Magic tonight, and that's awesome to say. That's exactly what you want to hear and see from your effort role players, the guys that are off the bench to create a spark. That's what KJ Martin is doing for the Sixers squad. So shout out to KJ. Shout out to you guys for tuning in this video here. Let me know what you think in the comments. I very much am leaning on the side of things of KJ Martin might need to be in a Sixers uniform for at least the entirety of this year. We'll see how things shake out from here, but very excited this Sixers team seems to be inching towards getting back on track. Hopefully we have some brighter days even further ahead, but I'll take the wins we can get them for now. So once again, thanks for everybody for tuning in this video here. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a like on this video if you have not just yet, and we talk with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.